Tonight we're listening to two Native American creepy tales. One is the Abenaki witch story, and the other is Big Eater's wife. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please do. Also, thumbs up this video and turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything that we release. An Abenaki witch story. The following story was told by Beulah Tahamant. She is an Abenaki, about 16 years of age, and she has visited New York City, where this story was obtained. It is given as nearly as possible in her words. An old witch was dead, and his people buried him in a tree, up among the branches, in a grove that they used for a burial place. Sometime after this, in the winter, a Native American and his wife came along, looking for a good place to spend the night. They saw the grove, went in, and built their cooking fire. When their supper was over, the woman, looking up, saw long dark things hanging among the tree branches. "What are they?" she asked. "They are only the dead of long ago," said her husband. "I want to sleep." "I don't like it at all. I think we'd better sit up all night," replied his wife. The man would not listen to her, but went to sleep. Soon, the fire went out, and then she began to hear a gnawing sound. Like an animal, she sat still, very much scared, all night long. About dawn, she could stand it no longer, and reaching out, tried to wake her husband, but could not. She thought him sound asleep. The gnawing had stopped. When the daylight came, she went to her husband and found him dead, with his left side gnawed away and his heart gone. She turned in rage. At last she came to a lodge where there were some people. Here she told her story, but they would not believe it, thinking that she had killed the man herself. They went with her to the place, however. There they found the man, with his heart gone, lying under the burial tree, with the dead witch right overhead. They took the body down and unwrapped it. The mouth and face were covered with fresh blood. And now for our next story. Big Eater's wife. Big Eater ate and ate. He never stopped eating. He had his wigwam and 2 canoes on an island close to the mainland shore. Big Eater was powerful, but sometimes an evil ghost woman can defeat the most powerful man. One day, Big Eater was looking across the water, and there on the opposite shore, he saw a beautiful young woman digging clams. How could he know that she was a ghost witch? He hailed her across the water. "Beautiful girl, come live with me. Be my wife." "No," she said. "Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, yes, yes. Well, all right." Big Eater got in one of his canoes and paddled over. The woman was even more beautiful close up. "All right, pretty one, step into the canoe." "Yes, but first I must get my things." Soon the girl came back with a mortar and pestle and some eggs. She put them in the canoe, and Big Eater paddled her over. They ate. The beautiful woman said, "Oh my, what great heaps of food you can eat." "Yes, I'm powerful that way." They went to bed. "Oh my, how often you can do it." "Yes, I'm very powerful that way." "Indeed, this is so." So they lived happily for a long time, but after a while this girl got tired of Big Eater. She thought, "He's fat. He's not young. I want to change. I want to have a young, slim man loving me. I'll leave. So when Big Eater went out fishing in one of his canoes, the girl made a doll, large as a grown woman. She placed the doll in her bed, took her mortar, pestle, and eggs, put them in Big Eater's second canoe, and paddled off. Big Eater came home early from fishing, thinking it was his wife he was climbing in with. He got into bed. He touched the doll, and the doll began to scream and shriek. "Wife," he said, "stop this big noise or I'm going to beat you." Then he saw that it was a doll lying in bed with him. Big Eater jumped up and looked around. The mortar and pestle and eggs were gone. He ran down to the shore, got into the remaining canoe, and paddled furiously after his wife. Soon he saw her, also paddling hard. But he was stronger than she, and pulled closer and closer. He drew up behind her canoe until both almost touched. "Now I'll catch her," he thought. Then the woman threw her mortar out of the canoe over the stern. At once, all the water around him turned into mortars, and Big Eater was stuck. He couldn't paddle until at last he lifted his canoe and carried it over the mortars. By the time he gained clear water again, his wife was a long way off. Again, he paddled furiously. Again he gained on her. Again he almost caught her. Then she threw her pestle over the stern, and at once the water turned into pestles. Again, Big Eater was stuck, trying to paddle through the sea of pestles, but unable to. He had to carry his canoe over them, and when he hit open water again, his wife was far in the distance. Again, Big Eater drove through the water with all his strength, and again he gained on her. Again he almost caught her. Then from the stern of her canoe, the woman threw the eggs out. At once, the water turned into eggs, and once more Big Eater was stuck. The eggs were worse than the mortar and pestle because Big Eater couldn't carry his canoe over them. Then he hit the eggs, smashing them one by one and cleaving a path through the gooey mess. He hit clear water, and his wife's canoe was only a dot on the horizon. Again he paddled mightily. Slowly he gained on her again. It took a long time, but finally he was almost even with her. "This time I'll catch you," he shouted. "You have nothing left to throw out." But his wife just laughed. She pulled out a long hair from her head, and at once it was transformed into a lance. She stood up and hurled this magic lance at Big Eater. It hit him square in the chest, piercing him through and through. Big Eater screamed loudly and fell down dead. That's what can happen to a man if he marries a ghost witch.